saying, hey, welcome to Pazzo TV. This is our first episode. We're sitting on stools here because we thought it would be sort of uncomfortable. We're going to go through some new stock. There's some interesting things that we see around the store, and hopefully say something funny.
Starting off, we got what appears to be a paper bag, but is actually, in fact, a very rare book on the Moravian Christian cult in Jamaica.
You call them a cult?
Yeah.
They're not going to like that. They're actually nice people. They're normal Christians, as we call them.
Yes, they're actually very sectarian. The interesting thing about this is that it includes in it an original inscription from Jamaica itself at the time of the publication of the book. It is in a very, what we call, simple binding with some gilt decoration. Unsophisticated. Not included in that is some of the water stains, but nonetheless it is a very rare and important historical work.
There does appear to be some fairly sophisticated water stains, but it's very humid in Jamaica. I think that's a selling point instead of proves it's been there. What I have here, I should note that occasionally we may say things that aren't literally true. Give the air fingers.
Disclaimer.
They'll be true-ish, they'll be in the spirit of truth, but sometimes we may exaggerate certain things.
Anything entirely erroneous will be greeted with an errata.
Yeah, we'll get
afterwards.
We'll issue one of those. This is an interesting book. It's actually the sequel to Can You Top This, which was a very popular television program at the time. But what's fantastic about it, I have no idea how this is going to work. Let's try this. Is that all of the authors have inscribed it with little pictures, little cartoon from one of these people was a cartoonist. See, I might make something up just right now because I've forgotten things. But this was the guy who played piano on the show. He'd wrote a little bar of music there, Eddie Weber. Somebody wrote Varsity Sweater. It's pretty great. It's just like, I think I might even have mentioned this one on the blog, because it's one of those times where you get what is unquestionably the world's greatest copy of a book that maybe nobody actually wants.
A really tremendous dust jacket.
It is. It is nice. Just a little chipping. These people were said to. There's no good information on the back. We're said to know 16,000 jokes.
Next, we have here the Hartford Bible Convention. Here, printed in a simple yet blind-stamped 19th century cloth. Now, it's the proceedings from the Hartford Bible Convention, but it actually is not as it seems, because it was actually the meeting of a very important group of abolitionists and early feminists, included which was William Lloyd Garrison, who had started the Liberator abolitionist newspaper in Boston, as well as Ernestine Rose, who was one of the earliest feminists and
we're selling her as one of the 3 or 4 most important feminists ever.
Yes,
forgotten.
Susan B. Anthony would agree. She had called her probably her biggest inspiration to continuing the
right ahead of Sojourner Truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Sojourner Truth.
So while this isn't an incredibly weird or interesting book, it is a very important book that we thought we'd put on here because the truth needs to be known about Ernestine Rose.
Is it not one of the earliest phonographically transcribed books?
It's true. It was phonographically transcribed by Andrew J. Graham, who wrote many early books on phonographic transcription, and yes,
and phonography,
and is today considered one of the finest minds of the phonographic age.
This is a first edition of Love in the Ruins, and there's nothing really great about it, except that it's only $50. Can you imagine a book this important? $50. And what a nice jacket. It has not been price clipped. It's going to be interesting when I look at the actual video and see that I'm like, you can't see the damn thing, but
we're doing our best. This is episode 1, so you're going to have to bear with us here. Next, I have here a rebound copy of a forgotten poem by John Trumbull, not the John Trumbull, but of the same family. And it's actually signed by him. He was a member of the House of Representatives and was actually asked by the Senate and House to write this poem making fun of all the Tories in England and America right after the Revolutionary War to sort of put down any uprising that the Tories and the English were going to try to mount in America. So this is a satirical bashing of all things English and all things Tory, which is really quite great. Yeah, Fingal.
Did not Trumbull win the Little League World Series some time ago?
Yes, that's true. Trumbull, Connecticut, home of all things Trumbull.
This is a nice copy of first edition, 1898, which is early for Rackham. Oh, I can't read that. Inglesby Legends, or Myths and Marbles by Thomas Inglesby, illustrated by Arthur Rackham, and it is signed by Arthur Rackham to Ruth. Oh, didn't we decide that was his sister-in-law? We don't know what it is. But it could have been his sister-in-law. His name was
his
Ruth.
Brother, that very year, had married someone
named Ruth.
So,
why not indeed? January 1900. It's always nicer. We like inscriptions, actually. These days, people like things that are just signed, but we always feel that the more writing, the better, especially for somebody like Rackham, where you don't get signed editions very often. Nice cover, a little splitting here at the head of the spine, but really a nice copy. And signed, which you never see. And look, there's a bat. There are 3 bats on the back. And this little animal here, which could be a grackle. I don't know what it is.
Some farmer. Well, the last book I have here is what might not be thought of as a book at all. It's wrapped in excessive amounts of leather. It's a Roycrofter book, which was a group of strange arts and crafts people led by Albert Hubbard, who worked out of East Aurora, New York.
The Sage of East Aurora, I think they call him.
And he was trying to do what could only be thought of as a representative German early bookbinding, which they were often fully encased. You can see you can't see any of the page edges, so it was going to be safe from all the elements out in the world.
And the Catholics. But
why else he chose to do that is really sort of up in the air. But it's an interesting binding. It's cheap, only $40.
I'm kidding. They were Catholic, I think, when they did those bindings.
We'll tack into that.
We will. I don't think we've made up anything yet, except for the thing about Ruth, and we said we've done that. I'm going to finish with a couple nice illustrated covers. This is by John Kendrick Bangs, who's actually in the Bibliography of American Literature, which means he's important. Houseboat on the Styx, which I think is all the smart people in the world on a houseboat. It's like a reality show mixed with, like Philip Jose Farmer. Sounds fantastic. This is Mr. Munchausen, which is, what's his name? Peter Newell illustrated book. It's very nice. And then a nice pile of this Joseph Altshelter guy. We had no idea who he was. This is what happens in the book business. You get a whole pile of books by this guy. He's like that guy, Henty. He's like an American Henty, but
like Baden-Powell inspired.
Yeah. It's sort of Antietam. It's all these historical sort of juvenile things. We got a whole pile of them. Eyes of the Woods. This one's weird. They give these funny outfits and expressions on it. There might just be a bad color illustration. Rock of Chickamauga. I don't know, is that how you pronounce that? Chickamauga. Apache Gold. This is an important Western one, actually. And another Civil War one. The Scouts of Stonewall. Nice Altshelter collection. I think that's it. Oh yeah, it was warrantless wiretapping. Nobody bought this during the Bush administration. We'll give this half off. What is it, $75? $37.50. First person in here. This was going to be an important book. Didn't work out.
That's it.
That's it.
Pazzo TV episode 1.